There are mistakes you can recover from, and then there are the ones that haunt you every single day, every morning when you wake up, every night when you try to sleep. The ones that sit in your chest like a stone, heavy, unmoving, crushing you from the inside out. This is one of those stories. My name doesn't matter. Where I live doesn't matter. What matters is what I did, what I'm still hiding, what I carry with me every single second of every single day. This is my confession, and I need to tell someone, anyone, because keeping it inside is killing me. Let me take you back. Back to when things were different. Back to when I still believed I knew what I was doing. It started during the previous bull market. You remember those days, right? Bitcoin was climbing past all-time highs. Ethereum was exploding toward $5,000. Altcoins were pumping double digits every single day. Everyone was making money, or at least that's what it felt like. Turn on YouTube and every thumbnail was someone screaming about life-changing gains. Open Twitter and your entire feed was people posting screenshots of their portfolios. Green everywhere, money flowing like water. I was part of it. I'd been in crypto since 2017, rode the first big wave up, got burned in the crash. But I learned, I studied, I understood market cycles, I knew about tokenomics and liquidity pools and yield farming. I wasn't some newbie aping into dog coins. I was educated, experienced, or at least I thought I was. My dad came to me one afternoon in late 2021. It was a Saturday. I remember because we were at his house for lunch. My mum had made her usual spread. We were sitting in the living room after eating, and he had this look on his face. It wasn't his normal expression. There was something different about it. Pride mixed with something else. Nervousness, maybe. Hope, definitely. "I want to talk to you about something," he said. I put down my phone. "What's up?" He glanced at my mum, then back at me. "I want you to manage some money for me." I looked at him confused. My dad had always been careful with money. Conservative. He had a financial advisor, a retirement account, everything by the book. "What do you mean?" He leaned forward, his elbows on his knees. "You've been doing well with crypto, right? I've seen you talking about it. You understand this stuff better than I ever could. Better than my financial advisor could, probably. He doesn't even want to touch crypto. Says it's too risky. But I've been watching it, reading about it. Everyone's talking about it." I shifted in my seat. "I mean, yeah, I've done okay with it." "Better than okay," he said. "You bought that new car last year." "Paid cash, right?" I nodded. It was true. I'd made a good chunk of money on a few trades. Nothing crazy, but enough to feel proud of. "I've been thinking," he continued. "I've got money sitting in bonds earning basically nothing. Less than 2%. Meanwhile, I'm watching people make 20, 30, 40% in crypto. I'm watching you make that kind of money. And I'm sitting here letting inflation eat away at what I've saved." I felt a knot forming in my stomach. "Dad, crypto is volatile. What I do, it's risky. I can afford to take those risks because I'm young. If I lose money, I can make it back. But you're close to retirement. You can't afford to lose." "I know that," he said. "That's why I'm not putting everything in. But I want to put some in, a meaningful amount, and I want you to manage it." "How much are we talking about?" I asked, though I was already nervous about the answer. He paused, looked at my mum again. She gave him a small nod. Then he looked back at me and said the number. $250,000. The room went silent. I could hear the clock ticking on the wall. Could hear my own heartbeat in my ears. $250,000. That wasn't play money. That wasn't risk capital. That was real money. Serious money. Retirement money. Life savings money. The kind of money that takes decades to build. "Dad, I don't know if I'm the right person for this." But even as I said it, part of me was already imagining what I could do with that much capital. The opportunities, the gains. If I could turn my own small portfolio into something respectable, what could I do with $250,000? "You're exactly the right person," he said. "I trust you. You're smart, you do your research, and most importantly, you care about me. You're not going to take stupid risks with your dad's money, right?" That last part hit me hard. You're not going to take stupid risks with your dad's money. Of course I wasn't. I would be careful, strategic, conservative even. I'd treat it better than my own money, because it was his, because he trusted me. I don't want to let you down, I said quietly. You won't, he replied with absolute certainty. I believe in you. My mum smiled at me, that warm, proud smile that mothers give their children. We both do, and that was it. That was the moment everything changed. I said yes, I agreed to manage his money. We set up an account. He transferred the funds, $250,000, all at once, sitting there in the account with my name on it. My responsibility, my chance to prove myself. I remember staring at that number on the screen. 250,000. I'd never had that much money under my control in my entire life. It felt heavy, important, exciting. I told myself I'd be careful, smart, strategic. I had no idea what was coming. The first few weeks were spent planning. I didn't rush in. I took my time. I researched. I built a strategy. I would split the capital across different sectors, some in Bitcoin and Ethereum, the blue chips, some in solid altcoins with good fundamentals. Maybe a small portion in higher risk plays, but nothing crazy. Diversified, balanced, safe. I executed the plan over the course of a month. Bought Bitcoin at 45,000, Ethereum at 3,500, added positions in Solana, Avalanche, Polygon, projects I'd researched, projects I believed in. The portfolio looked good, professional, like something a real fund manager would build. And then the magic started happening. Everything I touched seemed to turn green. Bitcoin pushed toward 50,000. Ethereum climbed toward 4,000. The altcoins? They exploded. Solana went from $150 to $200. Then $220. Then $250. Avalanche doubled. Polygon went up 60%. I'd check the portfolio every morning. Watch the numbers climb. Feel that rush of dopamine every time we hit a new high. The portfolio grew from 250,000 to 260,000, then 270,000, then 280,000. In just 2 months, we were up $30,000, 12% gains. My dad's financial advisor would kill for those returns in a year, and we'd done it in 2 months. My dad started texting me more often. How's it looking? Good, or I'd reply, really good. We're up about 12%. 12% in 2 months? Yeah, the market's strong right now. That's incredible. I knew you could do this. Those words, I knew you could do this. They felt amazing. My dad was proud of me. Actually proud. Not proud in that obligatory parent way, but genuinely impressed. I was doing something he couldn't do. Something his financial advisor couldn't do. I was proving I was smart, capable, worthy of his trust. And it was easy. That's what made it so intoxicating. It felt easy, like I had figured out some secret that everyone else was missing. Buy good projects, hold them, watch them go up. Simple. I started getting more confident, more aggressive. Why not? The market was rewarding risk. The people making the real money weren't the ones sitting in Bitcoin and Ethereum. They were the ones taking chances on smaller coins, finding gems before everyone else, getting in early and riding the wave up. I moved some funds into higher risk plays, smaller cap altcoins with huge upside potential, projects that promised revolutionary technology, new layer ones, DeFi protocols, gaming tokens, metaverse plays. Everything was pumping, everything had a story, everything had potential. I wasn't gambling. This was calculated risk. I was diversifying into high growth sectors. I was positioning us for maximum returns. I was doing what any smart investor would do in a bull market. At least, that's what I told myself. That's what I needed to believe. The portfolio kept growing. 290,000, 300,000, 310,000. We were up $60,000. 24% returns in 3 months. My own portfolio was doing even better because I was taking bigger risks with it. I felt invincible. Then NFTs exploded, and everything changed again. You remember the NFT craze, right? It came out of nowhere and took over everything. Suddenly everyone was talking about JPEG's digital art. Bored apes selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. CryptoPunks going for millions. Regular people making life-changing money flipping profile pictures. I watched it happen in real time. People I knew, people who weren't even that deep into crypto, were making insane money. A friend minted a collection for 0.1 ETH and sold it 2 days later for 10 ETH. Another guy bought an NFT for $2,000 and flipped it for $20,000 a week later. The FOMO was intense. Fear of missing out, that sick feeling in your stomach when you watch everyone around you get rich doing something you're not doing. I'd sit there scrolling through Twitter, seeing screenshot after screenshot of people's wins. $50,000 flips, $100,000 flips, regular people becoming millionaires overnight from buying the right JPEG at the right time. I started researching, joined Discord servers, learned about minting, learned about rarity traits, and floor prices and roadmaps. The mechanics weren't that complicated. Find a project with a strong community, check the article, check the team, check the roadmap, mint it or buy it early. Watch the floor price rise, sell for profit. I saw a project coming up that looked promising, really promising. The art was actually good, not just some lazy pixel art. The team was doxed, real people with real backgrounds. The roadmap was ambitious but achievable. Utility staking, future airdrops. The Discord was active, thousands of people hyped and ready to mint. I told myself I'd only use my own money. This was too risky for my dad's portfolio. But then I thought about it more. Really thought about it. If I was confident enough to put my own money in, why wouldn't I put some of his money in too? He trusted me to find good opportunities. This was a good opportunity, and it would only be a small position. $10,000, 4% of the portfolio. That was reasonable. Diversification. I minted on launch day, got 3 NFTs. The floor price started at 0.1 ETH. By the end of the day, it was at 0.3 ETH. We'd tripled our money in hours. I bought a few more pieces from other collections that were trending. One from a project that was exploding in popularity. Another from a collection that had serious celebrity backing. Within a week, we were up $30,000 on NFTs alone. $30,000 from a $10,000 investment. That's 200% returns in a week. It was insane. Absolutely insane. My dad called me excited. Someone at his work had told him about NFTs. They were in the news. He'd seen something on CNN about digital art selling for millions. "Are we in on that?" he asked. "The NFT thing?" I felt a surge of pride. "Yeah," I said, grinning even though he couldn't see me. "We're in." Got in early on a few projects. "How's that going?" "Really well. We're up quite a bit, actually." "Good. Good. I trust your judgment. If you think it's worth being in, I believe you." Those words again, I trust your judgment. They felt so good at the time, so validating. My dad believed in me. He trusted me to make smart decisions with his money, and I was proving him right. The numbers didn't lie. We'd turned $250,000 into $340,000. That's $90,000 in profit, 36% returns in 4 months. I was a genius. That's what it felt like. Like I had some special talent for this, some natural ability to spot opportunities and capitalize on them. Looking back now, I can see how delusional I was, how drunk on success, how blind to the risks I was taking. But in that moment, in the middle of the greatest bull market crypto had ever seen, it all made perfect sense. I wish I could go back and shake myself, scream at myself, tell myself to take profits, to be conservative, to protect what we'd built, but I can't. All I can do is tell you what happened next, and hope that somehow, in some way, my mistakes can save someone else from making them. The market started to shift. It was subtle at first. So subtle I almost didn't notice. Bitcoin would pump one day to 52,000, then bleed back to 50,000 the next day. Ethereum would hit 4,000, then drop to 3,800. The moves were getting choppier, more volatile, less predictable. The altcoins became even more erratic. Solana would pump 20% in a day, then dump 15% the next day. Projects were still going up, but the pullbacks were getting more severe, more violent. The corrections were deeper, but I wasn't worried, not really. Markets go up and down. That's normal. That's healthy even. You can't just go straight up forever. You need consolidation. You need shakeouts. This was just the market taking a breath before the next leg up. Everyone said so. Every YouTube analyst, every Twitter trader. This was normal bull market behavior. Besides, we were still up, way up. Even with the volatility, we were sitting at over 300,000. Still $50,000 in profit. Still crushing the traditional markets. My dad's financial advisor was probably getting 3 to 5% returns if he was lucky. We were up 20%. We were winning. Then I heard about Anchor Protocol, and I thought I'd found the holy grail. 20% annual percentage yield. 20% annual returns. On a stable coin, that meant no volatility, no risk of the asset going down. Just pure, steady, guaranteed yield. 20% per year. That would turn 300,000 into 360,000 with zero work. Just park it and let it grow. It sounded too good to be true, but everyone was doing it. And I mean everyone. Smart people, experienced people, people who'd been in crypto way longer than me. Whole communities were moving their funds into Anchor. It was the hottest thing in DEFI. The yields were sustainable because of how the protocol was structured, or at least that's what everyone said. I spent days researching, reading documentation, watching explanation videos, joining Telegram groups. The more I learned, the more confident I became. This wasn't some sketchy protocol. This was backed by Terraform Labs. It was algorithmic. It was decentralized. It was the future of finance. The math was simple. Park the money in UST, deposit it into Anchor, earn 20%, let it compound, turn 300,000 into 360,000 in a year without doing anything. No charts to watch, no trades to make, no stress, just steady, passive income, risk-free returns. That's what they called it. That phrase was everywhere. Risk-free returns. Stable coins were stable. That was the whole point. 1 UST equals $1. Always. It was pegged, guaranteed, and you earned 20% on top of that. I made the decision to move a significant portion of the portfolio into Anchor. Not all of it. That would be stupid, but a good chunk. $150,000, half the portfolio. That was diversification, right? Half in crypto assets for growth, half in stable yield for steady returns. Perfect balance. I executed the move over a few days, sold some positions, swapped into UST, deposited into Anchor. And just like that, we were earning yield. I could watch it stack up in real time, every block, every minute. The balance slowly increasing, day by day, week by week. It was beautiful, magical even. Passive income rolling in every single day. No volatility, no stress, just clean, steady growth. The crypto portion of the portfolio was still doing its thing, up and down, riding the waves. But the Anchor portion, rock solid, climbing slowly but surely. My dad asked how things were going during one of our weekly calls. Great, I told him. Really stable right now. I moved some of the funds into a yield protocol. We're earning about 20% annually on a big chunk of the portfolio. 20%? Just from having it sit there? Yeah, it's called DEFI, decentralized finance. You can earn yields way higher than traditional banks. And it's safe? I paused for just a second. It's a stable coin, pegged to the dollar. So there's no volatility like with Bitcoin or Ethereum. And the protocol is solid. A lot of smart people are using it. Okay, he said, and I could hear the relief in his voice. That sounds good, more predictable. Yeah, exactly. I figured after the big run we've had, it makes sense to lock in some gains and earn steady income on them. Smart thinking. I'm glad you're being careful with it. He was happy, relieved even. I think he'd been worried about the volatility, about the risk. This made him feel better, like his money was in good hands, like his son knew what he was doing. It made me feel better too, like I'd found the perfect strategy. Growth on half the portfolio, stable yield on the other half. I was balancing risk and reward like a professional. This was exactly what a good portfolio manager would do. But then the whispers started. Quiet at first, easy to ignore. Some people on Twitter questioning whether 20% was sustainable. Some people pointing out that the yield had to come from somewhere. Some people warning that if everyone tried to exit at once, the peg could break. I brushed it off. FUD. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. People always spread FUD when something's working. They're jealous. They're scared. They missed the opportunity, and now they want everyone else to miss it too. I'd seen it 100 times before. FUD about Bitcoin. FUD about Ethereum. FUD about DEFI. And every time the FUD was wrong. Anchor was fine. UST was fine. The peg had held for months. Hundreds of millions of dollars were in the protocol. If it was going to break, it would have broken already. This was just noise. I should have listened to the noise. I should have paid attention to the warnings. I should have understood that 20% yields don't come from nowhere. That stability is an illusion. That pegs can break. That death spirals are real. But I didn't listen. I was too confident, too convinced of my own intelligence, too sure that I knew better than the people spreading FUD. And then it happened. Fast, faster than anyone expected, faster than should have been possible. UST lost its peg. It happened over a weekend. I remember because I was out with friends, not even checking my phone much. When I finally looked, I saw the notifications. UST was at 98 cents. No big deal. Smaller pegs happened sometimes. It would recover. But it didn't recover. It kept falling. 95 cents. 90 cents. 85 cents. I watched in real time, my stomach dropping with every refresh. The Lunar Foundation Guard was supposed to defend the peg. They had billions in reserves. They were buying UST, pumping money in. But it wasn't enough. The panic spread like wildfire. Everyone realized what was happening at the same time. Everyone tried to exit at once. The death spiral began. UST fell to 80 cents, then 70, then 60. Luna, the token that backed UST, started crashing too. Down 20%, then 40, then 60. The whole system was collapsing. I tried to pull out, frantically, desperately. I needed to salvage whatever I could, but the network was clogged. Thousands of people trying to do the same thing. Transactions were failing. Gas fees were skyrocketing. I'd submit a transaction, and it would sit there, pending, not going through. By the time I finally managed to get some out, UST was at 40 cents. We'd lost over half the value. I kept trying, kept attempting to withdraw more, but every minute that passed, the price kept dropping. 30 cents, 20 cents, 10 cents. I watched $150,000 turn into 60,000, then 50,000, then 40,000. In less than 48 hours, gone, evaporated, deleted from existence. I sat there staring at my screen, completely numb. This wasn't supposed to happen. It was supposed to be safe, stable, risk-free. That's what everyone said. That's what I believed. How could a stable coin just collapse like that? How could 20% yield turn into a 90% loss? My phone buzzed. A text from my dad. "Hey, checking in. Everything good?" My hands were shaking. I couldn't tell him. Not now, not like this. Not when I was in the middle of a crisis. I needed time. Time to think. Time to figure out what to do. Time to maybe fix this somehow. I lied. "Yeah, all good. Just some volatility in the market. Nothing to worry about." "Okay, good. Let me know if anything changes." "Will do." I put my phone down and put my head in my hands. $60,000. We'd lost over $90,000 in 2 days, and that was just the anchor position. The rest of the portfolio was crashing too, because the anchor collapse triggered a broader market panic. Bitcoin started dumping. Ethereum started dumping. Every altcoin started bleeding. The NFT market, which had already been cooling off, went into free fall. Floor prices on our collections dropped 20% overnight, then 40%, then 60%. I tried to sell some NFTs to raise cash. Maybe I could use it to average down on other positions. Maybe I could salvage something. But there were no buyers, none. The market was completely dead. Just sellers, thousands of sellers, zero buyers. I listed our pieces at 50% off the floor price. Nothing. 70% off. Still nothing. The portfolio I'd been so proud of was imploding in real time. Everything red, everything bleeding, everything dying. 340,000 had become 280,000, then 240,000, then 200,000. In a matter of weeks, we'd given back all our gains and then some. My dad texted again. "Hey, I'm seeing news about crypto crashing. Are we okay?" I stared at that message for 10 minutes before responding. What could I say? That we'd lost $140,000? That his retirement money was evaporating? That I'd made terrible decisions and broken his trust? I lied again. We're down a bit, but nothing too serious. This is just a normal market correction. Happens every cycle. We're diversified, so we're handling it better than most. Every word was a lie. We weren't handling it better than most. We were getting slaughtered worse than most because I'd taken stupid risks. Because I'd put half the portfolio in a protocol that collapsed. Because I'd bought NFTs at the peak. Because I'd been greedy and reckless with someone else's money. The guilt was crushing. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw red candles, saw numbers dropping, saw my dad's face when he'd eventually find out what I'd done, the trust he'd placed in me, the pride in his eyes when he'd asked me to manage his money, the belief that I was smart enough, careful enough, good enough to protect what he'd spent decades building. And I'd destroyed it. In less than 6 months, I'd taken his $250,000 and turned it into barely 200,000. And it was still falling, but I couldn't give up. I couldn't just accept the losses and tell him. There had to be a way to fix this, to make it back. I'd done it before, right? I'd turned profits in the bull market. I could do it again. I just needed the right trade, the right opportunity. I needed to be smart, patient, strategic. That's when I made the worst decision of my life, the decision that would ruin everything. The decision I'll regret for the rest of my life. I decided to trade my way out of the hole, using my own money, my savings, everything I had. I would fix this. I had to fix this. There was no other option. I couldn't tell my dad what happened. I couldn't destroy him like that. So I'd fix it myself. However long it took, whatever it cost, I'd make it back. I started small, took 5,000 from my personal savings, made some trades, some worked, some didn't, added another 5,000, kept trading. The market was volatile, which meant opportunity, big swings, big potential gains. I just needed to time it right. But the bear market wasn't like the bull market. In the bull market, everything went up. You could make mistakes and still profit. Buy anything and watch it pump. But in the bear market, everything went down. You could make the perfect trade and still lose because the entire market was bleeding. I'd buy what I thought was the bottom. It would drop another 20%. I'd sell to cut losses. It would pump 30%. I'd chase the pump. It would dump 40%. Every trade seemed to go wrong. Every decision seemed to be the exact wrong decision. My 5,000 turned into 3,000, then 2,000. I added more money. 10,000 this time. Surely I could turn that into something. Surely I'd hit a winning trade eventually. The law of averages had to work in my favour at some point. It didn't. The 10,000 became 7,000. Then 5,000. I was hemorrhaging money. My own money. The savings I'd built up over years of work. Going into trades that kept failing. Into a market that kept falling. Into a desperate attempt to fix a problem that was only getting worse. The bear market deepened. Bitcoin dropped below 30,000. Then below 25,000. Then below 20,000. Ethereum crashed from 4,000 to under 2,000. then under 1,000. The altcoins, complete capitulation. 90% drops, 95% drops. Projects that had seemed solid just vanished. Teams disappeared. Websites went offline. Communities disbanded. My dad's portfolio kept shrinking. 180,000. 160,000. 140,000. Every week brought new lows. Every month brought more pain. And I couldn't stop it. I couldn't fix it. All I could do was watch it bleed and lie about it. "How are we doing?" my dad would ask during our calls. "Hanging in there," I'd say, my voice steady even though my hands were shaking. "Bear market's tough, but we're positioned well for the recovery." I've moved into more conservative positions, less volatility. We're just waiting it out now. Conservative positions, that was a joke. We were down over 40%. There was nothing conservative about what had happened. And it was my fault, all my fault. My own trading got more desperate, more reckless. I started using leverage. If I could just get a good leverage trade, I could multiply my gains. Turn 1,000 into 5,000. 5,000 into 20,000. I'd seen people do it. I'd seen the screenshots, the success stories. But leverage works both ways. It multiplies losses too. I'd open a position. It would move against me. I'd get liquidated, lose everything in the position, have to start over, again and again and again. I took out a credit card. Just to cover living expenses, I told myself. Just temporary. Just until the market recovered and I could make everything back. I'd pay it off quickly, no big deal. The balance started small. 2,000, 3,000, 5,000. I was spending on things I needed, food, rent, gas, bills, but also using it to fund more trades, more attempts to fix everything. Another credit card, then another. The debt piled up. 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. The minimum payments alone were eating into my income, but I couldn't stop. Every dollar I had needed to go into fixing the portfolio, into making back what I'd lost, into saving my dad's retirement. My own savings, completely gone, wiped out. Every dollar I'd ever saved, every bit of emergency fund, every penny I'd put aside for my own future. Gone. All of it gone. Thrown into the fire of bad trades and desperate gambling on a market that wouldn't stop falling. My dad kept checking in. "How's everything looking? When do you think this bear market will turn around?" "Hard to say," I'd tell him. "Could be months, could be a year. But historically, crypto always recovers. We just need to be patient." Patient. What a joke. There was nothing patient about what I was doing. I was thrashing, drowning, desperately clawing for anything that might save me. And every movement just pulled me deeper underwater. The anxiety became constant. A weight on my chest that never left, never eased, not for a second. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, heart racing, covered in sweat. Check my phone, check the portfolio, watch the numbers, calculate how much further we'd fallen, how much more I'd lost, how much deeper the hole had become. I stopped seeing friends. What was the point? They'd want to go out, want to do things that cost money. Money I couldn't spend. Money I needed for trading, for fixing things. Every dollar I spent on anything else felt like a betrayal. Like I was stealing from my dad. Like I was making everything worse. My health started declining. Stress headaches that wouldn't go away. Stomach problems. Nausea. I lost weight without trying. Couldn't keep food down. My hands would shake randomly throughout the day. Panic attacks would hit out of nowhere. In the middle of work, in the car, at home. Crushing pressure in my chest. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Just pure overwhelming terror. But I couldn't stop. Couldn't give up. Because giving up meant confessing. And confessing meant destroying my dad. I'd seen what stress did to him. He'd had health scares before. Heart issues. High blood pressure. The news that his son had lost his life savings could literally kill him. I couldn't do that. I couldn't be responsible for that. So I kept trading, kept lying, kept pretending everything was fine while everything fell apart. The portfolio hit 100,000, then 90,000, then 80,000. My personal debt climbed to 30,000, then 40,000. Bills I couldn't pay, minimum payments I could barely cover. I thought about ending it, more times than I'd like to admit. Just making it all stop. The guilt, the fear, the constant, crushing weight of what I'd done, the lies, the shame, the knowledge that I'd failed in the worst possible way. Failed the person who believed in me most. I'd sit in my car sometimes in parking lots, just staring at nothing, wondering if anyone would be better off if I wasn't here. If my dad could somehow recover his money through insurance or something, if I was gone. If the debt would die with me, if the problem would just go away. But I never did it. Not because I was brave, but because I was a coward. Too afraid of death, too afraid of the pain, too afraid of the final confirmation that I'd failed completely. So I kept existing, kept breathing, kept suffering through each day. The markets eventually stabilized, bottomed out around November of 2022. Bitcoin at 16,000, Ethereum at 1,000. Everything else decimated, but at least it stopped falling. At least the bleeding stopped. My dad's portfolio sat at $75,000, from $250,000, down 70%, $175,000 lost. Gone, evaporated, and he still didn't know. Still thought everything was mostly intact. Still believed his son when I told him we were down but positioned for recovery. Yeah, my personal financial situation was a disaster. $50,000 in credit card debt. No savings, no emergency fund. Living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to make minimum payments. One unexpected expense away from complete collapse. The crypto market started to recover slowly in 2023. Bitcoin climbed back to 20,000, then 25,000. Ethereum pushed toward 2,000. Maybe, I thought, maybe this is it. Maybe I can finally start making it back. I tried a few more trades, more careful this time, more conservative, but I was gun-shy now, traumatized. I'd enter a position and immediately want to exit. See any red and panic? The PTSD from the losses made it impossible to trade rationally. I'd take profits too early, cut losses too late, make every mistake possible. The portfolio barely moved, 75,000, 78,000, back to 75,000. I couldn't make progress, couldn't gain traction. The hole was too deep, the damage too severe, and I'd lost whatever trading ability I thought I had, completely shattered by the trauma of losing everything. Today, as I write this confession, here's where things stand. My dad's portfolio, $1,800, from $250,000, down 99.3%, $248,000 lost, nearly all of it gone. How did it get this bad? After the bear market bottom, I made one last desperate attempt, put almost everything into a few high-risk positions, coins that promised massive recovery. Leverage, one last shot to make it all back. They all failed, every single one. The positions got liquidated, the money evaporated, and suddenly there was almost nothing left. My savings, completely gone, wiped out years ago. My debt, over $60,000 now. Credit cards maxed out. Personal loans I can't repay. Collection calls I don't answer. My credit score destroyed. My financial future obliterated. My dad still doesn't know. He still thinks his money is safe. Still thinks his son made smart decisions. Still trusts me. That trust is the heaviest thing I carry. Heavier than the debt. Heavier than the guilt. Heavier than anything I've ever experienced. Every conversation with him is torture. Pure torture. We talk every week, sometimes more. He asks about life, about work, about how I'm doing, and I lie. I smile through the phone. I pretend everything's fine. I tell him work is good, life is good, everything is good. Then he asks about the portfolio, and my stomach drops every single time. How's the investment doing? I know the market's been rough. It's recovering, I say, slowly but surely. We took a hit during the bear market, but that's normal. Everyone did. We're climbing back now. What are we at now? I pause, calculate, make up a number that sounds believable. Around 180,000, down from the peak, but way better than the bottom. And the next bull run should get us back to even and beyond. 180,000. That's what I tell him. The truth is 1,800. I'm off by almost $200,000. The lie is so enormous, so complete, that sometimes I can barely comprehend it myself. That's good, he says, relieved. I was worried it was worse. You've done a good job managing the risk. Managing the risk, those words stab into me, every time. I haven't managed anything. I've destroyed everything. I've taken his life savings and turned it into nothing. And I'm lying to him about it every single day, every single conversation. Sometimes he talks about retirement, about his plans, about what he's going to do with the money. Maybe buy a small place somewhere warm, maybe travel with my mum, maybe help me buy a house someday. He talks about the future with hope, with excitement, with plans that depend on money that doesn't exist anymore. And I just sit there, listening, nodding, dying inside. My mum talks about how proud they are of me, how smart I am, how I've helped them grow their money when their financial advisor couldn't, how lucky they are to have a son who understands these new technologies, who can navigate this new world of finance. Every word of praise is a knife. Every expression of pride is agony. They think I'm helping them. They think I'm protecting them. They have no idea I've destroyed them. No idea their retirement is gone. No idea their son is drowning in debt and lies. The worst part is the casual mentions. My dad will text me something he read about Bitcoin. Hey, saw Bitcoin is back up to 40,000. That's good for us, right? Yeah, definitely, I reply, as if we still have meaningful Bitcoin positions, as if that price movement matters when we have essentially nothing left. Or my mum will mention something about their retirement timeline. Your dad's thinking maybe 3 more years of work, then we can really enjoy the money you've been growing for us. 3 more years. By then, he'll want to access the funds, want to see statements, want to move money around, want to actually use his retirement savings. And he'll discover there's nothing there, that his son spent years lying to him, that everything is gone. I don't know what I'm going to do when that day comes. I genuinely don't know. I've thought about it constantly, played out the scenario in my head 1,000 times. Every version ends in disaster. Every version ends with my dad's face collapsing, with betrayal in his eyes, with the knowledge that his own son destroyed him. The anxiety never stops, not for a single second. I wake up with it. It's the first thing I feel every morning. That crushing weight on my chest, that sick feeling in my stomach, that knowledge that I'm living a lie, and eventually it will all come crashing down. I go through my days in a fog. Work feels meaningless. Everything feels meaningless. I'm just going through the motions, existing, surviving, waiting for the inevitable moment when everything explodes. I can't focus on anything. My performance at work has declined. I've gotten warnings, been told I need to improve. But how can I focus on spreadsheets and meetings and projects when my entire life is falling apart? When I'm hiding this massive secret that's eating me alive? I've lost friends, not intentionally, just through neglect, through isolation, through being so consumed by this nightmare that I have nothing left to give anyone else. People stopped inviting me places, stopped calling, stopped trying, and I let them go. Because what's the point? I can't be a real friend to anyone when I'm barely holding myself together. I tried therapy once, thought maybe talking to someone would help, but I couldn't tell them the truth, couldn't admit what I'd done. So I talked around it, mentioned stress and anxiety and financial problems without giving details. The therapist prescribed medication and coping techniques. Neither helped. How could they? The problem wasn't chemical. The problem was real, concrete, unfixable. I've thought about confession so many times. Imagine just telling him everything, ripping off the band-aid, getting it over with, facing the consequences. At least then I wouldn't be lying anymore. At least then the waiting would be over. But every time I get close, I think about what it would do to him. My dad is 62 years old. He has high blood pressure. He's had scares with his heart. This kind of news could literally kill him. The shock, the stress, the betrayal. Finding out that his retirement is gone, that his son lost everything, that years of work and saving were destroyed by the person he trusted most. I can't do that to him. I can't be responsible for that. So I keep lying, keep pretending, keep hoping for some miracle that never comes. Sometimes I fantasize about winning the lottery, about some random windfall, about magically coming into $250,000 somehow. I'd quietly put it back, restore the account, tell him there was a big recovery, everything would be fine again. He'd never have to know. But that's not going to happen. I know that's not going to happen. There's no magical solution coming. No deus ex machina. No lucky break that's going to save me. The only real option is confession. Telling the truth. Facing what I've done. And I can't bring myself to do it. I'm too weak, too afraid, too selfish, so I exist in this purgatory. This hell of my own creation. Where every day is torture and there's no escape in sight. I've thought about running away, just disappearing, changing my identity, starting over somewhere else, let them think I died or vanished. Maybe that would be easier for everyone. They could grieve and move on. The money would be gone either way, but at least they wouldn't know I was responsible, wouldn't know their son betrayed them. But I can't do that either. Can't abandon them completely. Can't put them through that pain. So I stay, trapped, paralyzed by fear and guilt and shame. The debt collectors call constantly now. I don't answer. I know what they want. Money I don't have. Money I'll never have. My credit is ruined. I can't get a loan to consolidate. Can't declare bankruptcy without questions being asked. Can't do anything except watch the interest pile up and the calls keep coming. I've sold everything of value I owned. My car, my electronics, anything worth more than a few dollars. Try to raise money to either pay down debt or make one more trading attempt. It barely made a dent. A few $1,000s against $60,000 in debt and $250,000 in losses. Meaningless. I still check the crypto markets every day. Old habits die hard. Watch Bitcoin pump to 60,000, 70,000. See altcoins explode in the new bull run. See people making money again. See the opportunities I'm missing. See what could have been if I hadn't destroyed everything. Sometimes I torture myself calculating. If I'd just held the original portfolio, if I'd just bought Bitcoin and Ethereum and done nothing else, we'd have over $500,000 right now. Maybe more. My dad could retire early, could live the life he dreamed of, all because his son just did the boring, simple thing. Instead, we have $1,800, and even that number feels generous, feels like more than I deserve to have left after everything I've destroyed. I think about the moment I said yes, that afternoon in my dad's living room, when he asked me to manage his money, when he told me he trusted me, when he believed in me. If I could go back to that moment, I would say no. I would refuse. I would tell him to keep his money with his financial advisor, to stay in boring bonds earning 2%, to never touch crypto. But I can't go back. I can only move forward. Or try to. Except I don't know how to move forward from this. There's no path I can see, no solution, no way out, just more lying, more hiding, more waiting for the inevitable disaster. I'm 31 years old. My life should be beginning, should be full of possibility. Instead, it's over, destroyed by my own arrogance and stupidity and greed. I'll be paying for these mistakes for the rest of my life. Even if I somehow manage to pay off the debt, even if I somehow avoid prison for what might legally be considered fraud or embezzlement, even if my dad somehow survives learning the truth, I'll carry this forever. The shame is permanent. The guilt is eternal. The knowledge that I failed in the worst possible way, that I betrayed the person who loved me most, that I destroyed my father's dreams because I thought I was smarter than I was. There are moments when I feel nothing, completely numb, empty, like I've cried so much and felt so much that there's nothing left. just a hollow space where a person used to be. Those moments are almost peaceful. No anxiety, no fear, just nothing. But they never last. The guilt always comes back. The anxiety always returns. That crushing weight on my chest that never truly lifts. That voice in my head reminding me what I've done, what I'm still doing, what I'll eventually have to face. I don't know why I'm writing this confession. Maybe because I need to tell someone. Anyone. Maybe because keeping it completely inside is killing me. Maybe because I hope that somehow, sharing this anonymously on the internet will ease the burden just a tiny bit. It doesn't really. The burden is still there, still as heavy, still crushing me, but at least now it exists outside my head. At least now someone knows. Even if they're strangers who don't know my name or face, someone knows what I did. If you're listening to this, if you're someone who manages money for family or friends, please learn from my mistakes. Please don't make the choices I made. Please don't let confidence turn into arrogance. Please don't let gains make you reckless. Please don't chase returns at the expense of safety. And most importantly, please don't lie. Please don't hide losses. Please don't convince yourself you can fix things before anyone finds out, because you can't. The hole just gets deeper. The lies just get bigger. The damage just gets worse. Tell the truth. Be honest. Face the consequences when they're still manageable, before they become catastrophic, before they destroy everything, before you end up like me, trapped in a nightmare of your own creation with no escape in sight. Don't believe in guaranteed returns. Don't believe in risk-free yields. Don't believe anyone who tells you they've figured out how to beat the market consistently. It's all lies or delusion, or both. Crypto is speculation. It's gambling. Sometimes it pays off. Usually it doesn't. And when you're gambling with someone else's money, with someone else's future, with someone else's dreams, the cost of being wrong isn't just losing money. It's losing everything that matters. I lost my dad's retirement. I lost my own financial future. I lost my health, my peace of mind, my ability to sleep at night. I lost friendships. I lost years of my life to stress and anxiety and guilt. I lost my integrity, my honesty, my self-respect, and I'm still losing. Every day I wake up and lie to my dad is another day I lose a piece of myself. Another day I betray him. Another day I dig the hole deeper. I don't know how this story ends. I genuinely don't. Maybe I'll finally find the courage to confess. Maybe the truth will come out some other way. Maybe I'll just keep lying until my dad tries to access the money and discovers it's gone. Maybe something else I can't even imagine. But however it ends, it won't be good. There's no happy ending here. No redemption arc. No moment where everything works out. I destroyed that possibility years ago with my choices, with my arrogance, with my lies. The best I can hope for is survival. For my dad to somehow forgive me. For the damage to be less catastrophic than I fear. For some way to eventually rebuild some fraction of what I destroyed. But even that feels impossible most days. This is my confession. My anonymous crypto confession. I'm the person who lost their dad's retirement savings, who gambled with money that wasn't mine, who lied for years to cover it up, who destroyed everything through arrogance and greed and fear. I'm living with the consequences every single day, every single moment. The anxiety that never stops, the guilt that never fades, the knowledge that I failed in the worst possible way. I'm trapped in this nightmare, this prison of my own creation, and I don't see a way out, don't see any path forward that doesn't end in disaster. So I just keep existing, keep breathing, keep lying, keep waiting for everything to fall apart. If my story can stop even one person from making the same mistakes, then maybe there's some purpose to this pain. Maybe there's some meaning to this suffering. Maybe someone will read this and think twice before managing someone else's money, before taking stupid risks, before lying to cover losses, before walking down the same path I walked. Because this path leads nowhere good. It leads to destroyed relationships and ruined lives and endless guilt. It leads to sleepless nights and panic attacks and suicidal thoughts. It leads to becoming someone you hate, someone you don't recognize, someone who betrayed the people who loved them most. Don't be like me. Don't make my mistakes. Don't end up where I am, trapped, broken, destroyed by your own choices. Learn from my failure. Learn from my pain. Learn from this cautionary tale of what happens when greed and ego and fear override common sense. My name doesn't matter. My face doesn't matter. What matters is the lesson, the warning, the truth that I'm finally telling, even if it's anonymously, even if it's too late to change anything for me. $250,000, entrusted to me by the person who believed in me most, reduced to $1,800 through my failures, and a web of lies that grows bigger every day. This is my anonymous crypto confession. This is my burden, my shame, my eternal regret, and I'm living it every single day, every single second, with no end in sight. Thank you for listening. Thank you for bearing witness to my failure. Thank you for being the anonymous audience I needed, the confession I had to make. I hope you never end up where I am. I hope you never feel what I feel. I hope you never have to carry the weight I carry. But if you're heading down this path, if you're making these mistakes, if you're hiding these losses, stop now. Confess now. Face the consequences now. Before it gets worse, before you end up trapped like me. Because once you're here, in this place I'm in, there's no escape. Just endless guilt and endless lies and endless waiting for the inevitable disaster. Don't end up here. Please don't end up here. This is my confession, my warning, my desperate plea from the bottom of the pit I dug for myself. Learn from me. Save yourself. Tell the truth before it's too late.